We fail children as they go along. I see that where I am now, where I see a young man who's caught with a loaded gun shooting at somebody, and then you look at the background and you find out that when they were 14, they were suspended from school. When they were 15, they got arrested for shoplifting. When they were 16, they were involved in some assaults of different kind. It is a trail of woe that occurs. What I think we need to do, at-risk youth is something I think we have to focus on. That's why our new Restorative Justice program is talking about giving people up to the age of 26 the opportunity to be involved. And you have to catch these young men and women before they've crossed that line. And that line is very easy to cross, as we see in our community. There's so much damage. I was at the site on Sunday afternoon. In broad daylight, someone is shot in the back. That's what's happening in our community, and we have to change it. Now, one of the things that my office has been doing for a number of years is called the Intimate Partner Violence Intervention Program. Now, there is the GIVE grant talks about this as focused deterrence. So what you want to do is identify the people who are committing the crimes. And actually, as we know, if you study crime, it's a small percentage of people that are doing the majority of crime. So you identify them and you reach out to them. And you reach out to them not only with services and support and community leaders, but you reach out to them with law enforcement and the district attorney's office saying, we want you to change. We don't want to see you in jail. We don't want to see you commit a crime, shoot somebody, or get shot yourself. We want to make sure that this does not happen to you. And the community wants to make sure it doesn't happen to you. But if it does, my office has a responsibility of having sure and swift and certain justice at the end of that. If you've failed to hear the warnings, failed to heed the fact that you're going in the wrong direction and you're causing harm, we are there to say, unfortunately, there is a consequence to that kind of behavior. And so it has to be both a warning as well as support to reach out to kids, reach out to young people who are going in the wrong direction. The Lights Out program's a great program. I love the sound of it. I think it's terrific. I think everything we can do to support kids. I know Dr. Padalino in the school district is doing everything they can, but it takes all of us to do this. And I was at meetings for the police commission with our local leaders from the black community, like Carl Brown, and there were some very courageous women standing up and saying, I will go and knock on the door of that person you think is carrying around a loaded gun and tell him to cut it out. Well, that's the kind of involvement and engagement our community has to do in order to change this right now. So we want to change it now, and we want to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. So I thank you all. I thank you, Pat, for having me. I think we have a leadership team here that's wonderful and will be committed to making these changes. So thank you very much.
Soon we're not going to have to do elbow bumps, I promise. I appreciate everybody's time and patience. We have just two more speakers, and I know it's been some time here, but I think this merits. And what I think is really important here is we're seeing all the different critical leaders and players all coming together and being synchronized, and we know we have more work, but I'm really proud of this whole team. I'd like to ask the chair of our Human Rights Commission, Carl Brown, to come up. He wanted to say a few words and also read some remarks from Alderwoman Rita Worthington, who wanted to speak but was not able to be here on short notice. So, Carl, thank you for being here as well.
Thank you to the leadership team, Matt Ryan, County Exec, our Mayor, Steve Noble, Dr. Padalino for assisting Officer Tinty, Chief Officer Tinty, and also Dave Clegg here from the District Attorney's Office. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to paraphrase real quick what Alderman was trying to get to. The Feet on the Street program that we basically try to encourage our officers and our leadership administration to do was founded out of basically something that we done when I was a young kid. We had plenty of programs here. We had the pool hall for an outlet. We had the community gym downtown. We had the Midtown Center. We had different places that we could use for an outlet. Today, our kids do not have that. And what we also had was a Feet on the Streets program. It was called Walking the Beat. My brother Al Brown actually done that also. And I can tell you right now that when we had the Feet on the Streets program, when the police were walking the area, the community knew the police by name. The police knew everyone by name. And if anything happened in the community, guess what? The police were the first ones to know about it, especially the person that was walking the beat. And our crime wasn't as bad as it is today. Times have changed, I understand that. But I think what Rita is getting to is the essence that if we implore a Feet on the Streets program, our community itself, being that they had so many frictions with the police, and it happens that the community itself was going to reject them. I can say this right here, like Steve Noble said, let's give it a chance. If we have a Feet on the Streets program, and guess what? The police know the community knows the police, trouble isn't there anymore. If we see something, the motto should be say something as a community leaders. And we talk to those people that have their feet on the streets in our neighborhoods themselves. It will work. I can tell you right now, as we go through this, if we take baby steps on approaching this and get buy-in from not only the community, but our community leaders and everyone else that has a stakeholders in the community itself, we can start changing our community to be more friendly, to start seeing each other as human beings. But I tell you, the big thing is, even if we have the Feet on the Streets program and we have no way for our kids to do anything, we have an issue in our community. An idle mind, my mom always told me, is the devil's workshop. If you allow a kid to do things by themselves and they're not given any direction, no outlets, there's going to be harm in our community. By providing the school right now for an outlet on a Friday night, just a Friday night, we're just starting. When we start having more programs for our kids, I can guarantee you our kids are going to be so busy. They're not going to be creating any rift. They're not going to have time for gangs or getting in trouble. They're going to be wanting to learn things and do things and progress as human beings. And that's what we need to do as adults also. Start talking to our kids, get to know the kids, get to know who's in your community. So it's about policing, but it's about us also. We have to look inward, see what we're trying to do to make a difference. And we can do that if we start looking at everyone as a human being and stop just targeting somebody and saying, oh, they're part of a gang. Well, as quick as a kid got involved in a gang, it didn't take it overnight. We can get them out of the gangs by providing them some outlets, some idea of what they're going to do when they grow up. So, along with the policing, I agree with it 100% that if our Feet on the Streets program is there, it'll work. But also, we need to have a restorative justice program that me and Dave's talked about to keep our kids in school. Because if they're not in school learning and trying to get an education to find a job, they will stay in poverty, they will continue committing crimes, and they will be outside. Unless we implore restorative justice practices in the school, in community centers like this, in the community itself, in law enforcement, that's the only way we can turn a kid from wrong to right, by caring and showing some empathy and really caring about this kid and giving them some opportunities. But let's start giving them some place to go so that they don't have to spend their time on these streets. And that's, I think, what she was trying to say here. And I think everyone knows that. If we work together, especially with our leadership team, we can accomplish a lot of things. This Lights On program, thank you, Tyrone, for coming up with this and saying, hey, look, this is the right thing to do, because it is the right thing to do. It's one step. We got a lot more to do. But guess what? It's going to take the cooperation and effort and working with every one of yous in the community. Thanks again for allowing me to spend some time and talk to the community. But this guy right here, we're gonna keep him on point.
I think it's particularly fitting to end, especially given the weight of what we're talking about here, with words from one of our faith leaders. It's my privilege and honor to introduce Pastor Schuyler from Riverview Baptist. Thank you, Pastor, and please give us the strength and the inspiration to keep doing this work, and thank you for being here.
Hello, everybody. As you said, my name is Doris Schuyler, and I'm pastor of Riverview, but I'm standing here today on behalf of the Ministers Alliance of Ulster County. We certainly want to acknowledge our mayor, our county exec, and all of the other dignitaries here and those from the community. I'd just like to encourage your hearts on today. I am a lifelong citizen of Kingston. So I've seen an awful lot, and I've been through an awful lot. And now we come to a time where the challenge to be creative is very high. The late Dr. Miles Monroe, he said that people are most productive and most creative during the times of crises. And just to hear the various programs that are taking place in our community, just to be able to be a part of that tells me that we have that appetite for creativity. And what used to work, we have to look at what works now and be creative in what we're doing. And it does my heart good, and I'm sure that it does our community good and even our society good, just to be able to say that we're doing this together. Because when we stand alone, things get done alone, but it doesn't get done the way that it should. So as we hold hands with our mayor, as we hold hands with our superintendent, as we hold hands with Chief Tente, as we hold hands with all of our politicians, with all our judges, with all our teachers, our preachers, with Tyrone, who is a very, very, very creative young man, and I thank God for him. We can move this community forward. And I'm crazy enough to think that what we do here in unity, that we can become a model not only to this community, but to other communities. That we can become the model city, and I believe that. But like it said before, it's going to take time, it's going to take creativity, but the thing is that don't ever give up. No matter what it looks like, don't ever give up. Because when we give up, when we sit down, when we step back, then that's when our youth, our next generation begins to suffer. And what we don't handle now, they're gonna have to handle. And we don't want to lay that burden on them, but we want to set them up just like the shoulders that we had to stand on. Amen. They're going to stand on our shoulders. So I just want to say that I'm thankful and grateful for each and every one who has given their creative minds, has given their time and given their talent to make sure that our youth have a liable and have a bright future. So thank each and every one of you, and let us all stand together. Ministers Alliance of Ulster County absolutely stands together with you. Thank you for this moment.
Well, I'm smart enough to not say anything more after those powerful words. So thank you all for being here. Pastor, thank you very much for that inspiration. We're all ready to get to work, and I appreciate everybody being here. And next time, let's get together and have progress and good news and celebration and spring and summer and not loss and tragedy. And I'm confident we can do that. Thank you very much.